about motherhood. 1 minute, you're mom of the year.
I love you, Mommy.
Then the next, not so much. From bath time to bullying, from potty training to puberty, parenting is full of challenges. But one thing is for certain, you are not alone. Welcome to Modern Mom Probs. I'm your host, author, mother, parenting expert, Tara Clark. Join me while we tackle today's modern mom problems. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so excited. I don't think I've ever done a call with 5 of us all together. So this is going to be fun. I think the most I've ever done is 3, but 5 is like a legit party.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
This is a party.
I brought the coffee.
Good. I brought some water, but that's not as exciting. But I did just pound a coffee before we hit record because I was, So yeah, I'm caffeinated with you. So cheers to that. All right. So you are the 4 hosts of the Moms Talk Autism podcast. We want to get to know you better. I'm going to ask each one of you to introduce yourselves, and I'm going to start with Jean.
Oh, God, great. Well,
No pressure.
I am, no pressure. I'm a mom of 2. My oldest, Rory, is my neurodivergent child. He's my autistic child with ADHD, anxiety, separation anxiety, sleep disordered, all those things. But he's doing great. I am the novel single mom of our quad now. So that adds uniqueness to my story. And when I'm not doing podcasting or working on the podcast, I am doing a lot of public policy work. I'm a school board trustee for my school district, and I do local and statewide and national advocacy. And then I do some work for Texas Parent to Parent, doing medical training for first and second year medical residents. And I mentor other autism families. So
You're very busy, Jean.
everything is about this, all this, everything that brings us together, this one alignment that all is all the stuff I do.
Well, thank you for the work you do, because that is each one of those roles that you mentioned is time consuming, and then you put them all together and it can be overwhelming.
I'm insane. It's okay. I am it.
I'm insane.
I'm insane.
But we appreciate that. So thanks. Tash, I'm going to go with you.
Yes. Hi, guys. So I am a mom to 2. I got Jack, my 10-year-old, who is our neurospicy kid. And I have my little sweet, crazy Sloan, who's 8, going on 18. And then I have my super sexy first responder fire captain husband.
Well, he's going to love you for that.
He is going to love it.
That was a good plug.
We are rolling in hot with that, because that's the first time I've really have gotten that positive. We are in a good spot.
This is my smoking hot husband.
I'm feeling his vibes right now. You know, we're connected. So, anyways, and I am a stay-at-home mom. I do a lot in my church. I'm a Jesus lover. And so the church that I go to, I got super involved in kids ministries, but specifically in the special needs, which we call Bible buddies, just trying to make our church more inclusive.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And I'm that's it.
That's cool. That's it. You've done enough, Tash. You've done enough. Brittney, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Hi, I'm Brittney. I live in Northern California. I have 4 children because I'm an overachiever, I guess. I don't know. My oldest is 19 and in college. And then my 17-year-old is autistic and would be considered very profound, high needs, non-speaking. And then I've got my 16-year-old who is thriving in high school and in cross country and track and super busy. And then our youngest, our little caboose, is Miss Ruby, and she is just turned 10, and she's also autistic. I run a bakery business out of my home, just local to my area. I do a lot of pop-ups and boutiques and custom orders for sugar cookies. That's my specialty, and I love it. That's my therapy and my I'm done being a mom today. You can talk to me in a couple of hours. Goodbye, kind of thing. So, it's a lot to navigate, a lot to manage with everyone's schedules. But team no sleep sometimes over here, much to Shannon's dismay.
Good throw over to Shannon.
I am full team sleep over here.
Yeah, she is.
So, there's no question about
Very
that.
jealous. I'm very envious of the situation.
So I'm Shannon. I live in Tucson, Arizona with my also super smoking hot husband because
now Doug's going to be
Lord,
mad because
the
I didn't
pressure,
say that.
right?
Yeah, my husband's going to be mad too.
Right? My gosh, there's so
girls.
much pressure. God, you have like one good night and the rest of us are like
Shame.
on the plank here, right?
Good night.
No, we all know that I love Tyler Dillmon. He's my brother from another mother. Anyway, I live in Tucson, Arizona with my husband, Jay. He is a retired law enforcement officer. He is now a flight paramedic. So Tash and I both have that first responder lifestyle. I have two daughters, one who turned 18 this year and is graduating high school in just a few weeks, much to my dismay. And she's the best big sister in the whole wide world. And then Gracie is my almost 9-year-old, and she is autistic. She has apraxia, OCD, like Jean said. We could have an episode on that. But my little neurospicy, almost 9-year-old with the biggest belly giggles in the whole world. So, and I'm a realtor. And then when I'm not slinging houses, I'm listening to all murdery things on podcasts. So it's just what I do.
I guess I should have said that I'm living in Texas. I don't want to say I'm from Texas. I live in Texas. I'm from Baltimore. So that's the
distinction.
Yes.
So let me ask you this question, ladies. How did 4 women from all over the country get together to start a podcast?
I will answer that, I guess. I usually answer this question. I don't know why, but so we met during the pandemic online. We were all feeling isolated and lonely and scared and frustrated, like many, many families out there. I would say majority of them. And we had the added benefit and bonuses of trying to navigate and basically carry out our children's IEPs at home, virtually. And it was really tough. And there's a lot of factors involved but we all felt like we needed more connection. So we were searching it out. I think we were looking for it. And a little group formed on Instagram first. It was a larger group. And then over time, we switched over to Marco Polo so we could see each other. And, the 4 of us are the ones who kind of stuck around, and we really gained a lot of support and meaning and just connection with each other. And we really wanted to share that with other people. And so that's kind of where the podcast idea started. And here we are, and we are loving it. We record and drop an episode every week about different topics having to do with neurodiversity and autism and being parents of those kids.
Also being ourselves. We've now sprinkled in episodes where it's like, we're just going to talk about us, right? So we're trying to remove those layers, like us behind all of that, the stuff that we do and manage as caregivers. And I think, what's funny about what the pandemic did, became this host for a myriad of things that we are all now living on the other side of, right? And so a lot of people had more babies or got more pets. I'm one of them. I ended up attributing 4 more animals to my insane circus that I have. And we also decided that our baby is a podcast, is what we decided to do. And here we are. Like, I guess that's a byproduct of the pandemic. That's our baby.
Yeah. It absolutely is. Crying and walking and talking and everything.
Oh, come on, girl. Amen.
It's interesting that you said about Marco Polo, because not that long ago, actually, it was probably a year ago, so it was a while ago. I had 2 women on my show and they were talking about Marco Polo and creating their own individual communities. One was Megan from On the Hard Days. I don't know if you know her. If you don't, you absolutely have to listen to her podcast, connect with her, because she is awesome, awesome, awesome.
I follow her.
You do, right? She's great. She talks about having neurospicy children as well, and her podcast is fantastic. But she started her community through Marco Polo, so I just thought that was really interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a scary thing at first, because social media is just that. Social media, you're not generally not live. Everything's curated and photoshopped, etc. But really getting behind a recorded video, while also being able to watch it live, it changed the dynamic of, it's that in real life context, and it allowed us to be more vulnerable with one another and go deeper. And it was like, man, that's what everybody needs, in this community. This is what we wish we had in the beginning of our journey. So with our kiddo's diagnosis. So, yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? So when we first started it, Tash was the instigator to get everybody over.
I'm the instigator. I'm the pusher.
She's the instigator. Then she gets on, and we both at the time we worked for selling skincare for a same product line, and so we had no shame. We're like, whatever. And we get on with either completely naked faces, looking like semi-homeless, wearing face masks or whatever. And we're like, listen, guys, it's okay. Like, here's where we don't have to be this curated version of ourselves. Like, we can literally be like, just be yourself. Show me who you are. It's okay. This is who I am. Really, this is it. Take it or leave it. And they all could have left it. Shannon and Brittney could have ran for the hills.
And
Sometimes they wish they would have.
I like that everyone just was like a choir coming in at the same time on that.
Yeah. Yep.
You're stuck with us, girls. Sorry.
But you knew that there was truly a need in the market. I hate saying the market, but for lack of a better term, you knew that there was a need in the market. You knew that this needed to be talked about.
Yeah, I would say for myself, it was like in the beginning of the journey, you're just trying to reach out and connect to people who you can find some kind of, education, wisdom, whatever it might be, those that have gone before you, ahead of you in the journey. And social media is great for that, but it also, again, can go down really crazy, rabbit holes. And sometimes you get caught up into cults. No, I don't. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But where you're like, oh, wait a second. This is not my people. This is not the, and so for me, it was just that very organic, like, let's just talk about everyday real life. We're not experts. We're not, but we want to share with people so they feel normalized in those fears of, that either they're upset with their child's diagnosis, or they are in total grief, they're angry, or they're totally accepting of it. And they knew we wanted to bring all of those people together to just be, to support each other and to just be.
Yeah.
We knew what the isolation felt like.
Mm-hmm.
You get so consumed, especially with the level of diagnoses that our children had, with the therapy schedules and the care map that you're juggling. Like, all of a sudden, even though your child has not changed, right? Your child is still your child, but what you're doing to support that child is completely different. And for many of us, we've talked about this, is that we were spending a lot of time in the car, right? Like, that's time you're not interacting with anybody but your children or whatever, or yelling at people in traffic and having car road rage, which some of us do have more than others in this podcast. And so that's not really real connection, but you can, I was listening to some podcasts, but it was like you realize that's a real avenue for people that really meets them in a need at a time that is probably the most tender, because they're just trapped with their thoughts while they're driving back and forth. And then that's their whole day, is managing that. And then there's not much downtime. And so if you can listen to people that are having the same lived experience as you, that gives you a level of comfort. It makes you feel seen. And we get to hear that feedback all the time. We don't do it for the feedback, but I can tell you that affirms the reason why we're doing what we're doing when we get that feedback. Like, listen. And there's somebody that wrote to us the other day that said, you guys were my only friends for a long time, and thank God for you. Like, that's real, because that's the reality of lives living, being a mom or caregiver or parent or caregiver to any child with any medical need, high medical need. So I we're in it for that. Like, that's what we're in it for sure.
Well, and let's also talk about, there are friends of neurotypical children who are wonderful. I have some of the best friends in the entire world.
Yes.
I cannot tell them some of the crazy stories that happen in my household, i.e. code brown, code whatever. Like, we've got labels for these things. And like, in our connection, I can get on my Marco Polo with these girls and I can tell them the craziest story of I got on yesterday. It was a story I could tell anybody, but it included a lot of paint and significant amounts of water. And like, I can just get on and tell these ladies the craziest stories, and there's no judgment, because they've either had the exact same thing happen or they have one-upped me, and it is even crazier than anything that I've ever seen. And so, like, we like that. And we, as much as we can, try to share those things with our podcast community. We always want to be mindful of our kids' autonomy and the understanding that what we do share is out there for the world to see. So there are things that, and we tell our community this, you're never going to see a video of one of our kids having a meltdown. Like, that is not ours to share. But we do come in and try to be very vulnerable and open with all of the things, that we really can, so that there is that connection there.
Yeah. Did you ever find that you make friends with the other parents in the offices, the therapy offices? I did a reel a few weeks ago about like chatting with the other parents at the OT office, saying like, I see you, do you see me? Something like that. And it resonated really well, because people were like, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for acknowledging that. Because when Jean was saying about being in the car, it's lonely, right? So you're going from, let's say, appointment to appointment to appointment. But I know when my son goes into OT, I'm sitting there, for an hour in the waiting room. And I look forward to seeing those same parents each week.
Checking in with each other. You've created a little community there too. Like, we always try to talk about that. Like, it's really, really good to have a diversification in all areas with friendship, not only with you, but your children. It's important for your kids too, but for us, especially, we're moms, we can speak to that piece. It's great to have the podcast. It's great to have the social media connections and to be communicating that way. It's great to be in the office of the OT or wherever you are, talking to other parents with neurodiverse kids. That's important. It's important to have families in your life who are all neurotypical. Yeah. Neighborhoods, schools, church, whatever it is, you need to have a little bit of all of that in your life, because you're going to be able to connect with different people in different ways. And that's important. It's important for your autistic kids, and also if we all have neurotypical kids too, they need to experience all of those various aspects of life as well. So it's really hard to do that. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of time, but it is worth it. We really feel like that's the best case scenario for our families.
Yeah. And the further in your journey that you are, you get comfortable doing those things. You get comfortable knowing when to say, no, this isn't a good situation for us to be in, or we're going to bow out of this, or knowing who your neurotypical tribe is, those people who really
can handle your stuff,
rally, not just you, but your children. And they are, open to really educating their kids, and they want their kids to be around, different mind people, different bodied people, all of it. So, but it takes a little while.
Sarah, that's a very good reflection. So I remember there was we do talk about this, about what the experience can be like being in the therapy office, and sometimes why it's a hit or a miss, right? Well, the win is, right. So like when I was taking my son to this one OT and speech location, if I was just waiting around for an hour, I wasn't doing a drop off and pick up, right? But if he was going to another therapy location where I'm dropping him off, sometimes getting there was stressful. There was episodes and things that happened in the car, things to get him out of the car once I got him in the building. And then you're working on the transition and you're mentally exhausted. And all you're trying to do is like successfully pass your child off to this therapist. And you can't see anyone else around you. And you literally probably just went through a combat zone. And so you're not even you don't even have the agency or capacity to have interactions with other people. Like, I should not be talking to other people right now. In fact, I can't. Like, I'm shut down, right? And so that, again, then you get back in the car and you have that time for yourself to try to kind of, like, that might be your respite moment, sadly enough. And it is stealing these little moments of respite. But then there were those opportunities for sure, anytime you could. But they seemed like so like good on you for like totally speaking out right in that moment, because you captured and seized that moment to capitalize on that, because they can be few and far between. But that peer-to-peer support is so essential to our own well-being. Like, as human beings, and anything that you're going through, whatever it is, you need that. And there wasn't really a structure for that for families like ours. There just wasn't. And so, not that we have all the answers, but we're giving something. There's something out there for them to hang their hat on, to like, I have a place I can go to. So.
Yeah. In that particular office, there's one family, and they are characters. I could say that the son is adorable. The parents could benefit from a few parenting classes. I'm just going to leave that there.
A really nice way of saying that. Yeah.
It's really the most diplomatic way I could say it.
I was going to say, so diplomatic.
Really benefit from parenting courses. The son has ADHD, and he's just lovely. He loves to play with me. I love children, so he and I often play while the therapist is meeting with the parents. And then there's another father, it's either the mother or the father, dropping off their autistic nonverbal 4-year-old who is adorable, and he's the sweetest little boy. And the father, he's so lovely too. And so he and I often chat. But then the other mother, the character, tries to like weigh in, and she's so far off the mark that it pains me, and it's like cringeworthy. I'll give you an example, and I'm going to ask a question based upon this.
I'm so glad you are, because that was like a cliffhanger. I needed to know what it is.
Okay. The father and I were talking about the tablet that his son uses in order to hit vocabulary words for his needs and wants. I don't know if you're familiar with this technology, but
yeah.
Okay. So he has a tablet. He scrolls through it and says, I want goldfish. I am thirsty, different things for his wants and needs. The other mother, who could benefit from parenting classes, asked, is that hooked up to his brain? Is that how that works?
Ooh, wow.
And the other father and I were like, no, he's tapping it. And my question to all of you is, how do you deal with those moments where someone is so far off the mark from understanding your situation?
I have had not that exact experience, but similar things with questions from people that are maybe, well-meaning but ignorant, and you can approach it several different ways. But in that moment, and these like kind of decisions will become faster and easier for you as you experience more and more of them. But in that moment, you need to decide, am I going to take this opportunity to lash out and be angry? Am I going to take this opportunity to educate? Or am I just not going to respond to the situation? And sometimes it's a really split second decisions, right? And I've found as I've gotten older, not only my tolerance is less for this wasn't necessarily a mean comment. Like she was genuinely asking. It sounds like a genuine question, but sometimes they are like blatantly rude on, and meant to be so. I have very little tolerance for that. I think all four of us have no tolerance for that kind of stuff anymore. But I can also look at a situation like that and choose to perhaps educate. And that's where like kind of some of the nuance can come into play. And you kind of need to meet them where they're at and then maybe try to take them a step or two up from there. So, in that situation, I probably would have said, well, in a way, I guess it is connected to his brain. That's what we're trying to teach him to do, is to think of the words in his head and then use his hands and, to navigate the page and then choose what he wants to say to us, So, yeah, I mean, she's not completely off the mark, but there's no like wires coming out.
That's what that she was alluding to. That's what she was alluding to. Like it was like plugged in.
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry, Shan.
Oh, that's okay. I had to get on to see if your podcast was marked explicit or not before.
It depends on the episode.
Okay. I think
she's going to go for it.
Oh, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm very good on my podcast, but I just had to check because in real life I have problems.
We pray for you.
I agree completely with what Brittney's talking about. Also, I think in the situation, it can be very different because, like, are they in a place to accept education?
Correct.
Because
yes.
a lot of times people are not in that place. I have gotten very good at being able to tell people to kick rocks and that the situation at hand is more a result of where they are in their lives than it is where we are and where Gracie is in our lives. And so I think that that's hard. And I think when you're new into the diagnosis, everything already seems so heavy and you're so worried about what people are thinking of you, that it can be really hard to handle situations like that. And they do have retina scanning AAC devices too.
They do, yes.
There is that because there is a kid in Gracie's class who has a retina scanning AAC device. So don't ask me the science. I would not be able to tell you how that works. But, I think I've never been more happy to be in a place in my life where I have no problem telling people that they can kick rocks. And
it's liberating
to be. Yeah, it really is.
It feels good sometimes.
I feel like, Tara, too, it's all at where you're at in your journey, and then just who you are as your personality.
Yes.
I'm a very used to be angry, aggressive person. Now I just say, oh, bless your heart.
Oh, did you move south?
Which is essentially telling somebody to.
So I feel for those, like I, as a school board person or trustee, whatever, I get questions like that or comments from parents all the time. They're not like, they're not ill-intentioned. It's just their understanding.
Right.
Sometimes though, when I feel like there are certain people on our level, whether it's another leader or another administrator, and that's their perspective, then I'm like, oh, I'm about to take you to school. I just got to figure out which way I'm going to do it. Because there I hold them to a higher regard. So a parent that's just learning or newly on the journey, or if there's another parent, in the community, like one of our support people, like our friends or family, whatever it is, and they say something that's kind of like off the mark like that, that direction. Brittney is like so perfect at massaging situations like that. One of the reasons why we call her our iron butterfly, she can just do all that so beautifully,
I've just had a lot of practice, you guys, a lot.
Yeah, a lot of practice, absolutely. And it shows. It shows.
Thank you.
But it definitely happens. So you could feel like, I'm sure, I would love to know what that therapist's reaction was. Or was she just like, how did she respond?
Yeah, did he or she just stand there like?
Oh, it was the father of the child. This was a parent-to-parent-to-parent conversation.
The
so no
therapist wasn't there out there.
No, the therapists were in with our children. No. Each one of our children were in with the therapist. We, as parents, were in the waiting room talking about his devices.
I want to know what Tara said.
I cringed.
Did you just go like this?
That was the look on my face. That was it, Tash. That was it. Yes, it was because I know her personality, and so it was more of a face thing. And no, I think both the father and I jumped in and said, no, that's not how it works. I think that's actually maybe what we both
And sometimes that's enough. You just say, no, that's not how it works. And then you just move on. And that's fine.
Yes. I think that's what it was. It may have been a face and no, that's not how it works. Because I was genuinely asking him, how is it going? And we were talking about it and this and that. And so all of her questions were just yikes. Just yikes.
Maybe she doesn't need parenting classes. Maybe she needs social
Also that.
social interaction.
Both. A little bit of both. Like I said, I'm there all the time. It sometimes, yes. Not that I'm totally like putting this girl on blast, but I think I just officially sort of put this girl on blast. But it just makes it pains me so much when I see parents not treat their children well, and it just absolutely crushes me. And so everyone has their own parenting styles, I suppose.
Yeah, I think I will just say one quick thing, Tara. That is the hard thing about being in this world, in this community, and having those parents who kind of are maybe in the beginning stages of diagnosis, or my child is not special needs. They're very adamant and they're very unaware to what their child needs and what they could be doing for their child because they're stuck in this.
They're in denial. Yeah.
And they're stuck in this old, mindset of what that means, so it can be interesting.
Oh, it's interesting. It's interesting every week. It's interesting.
Just view it as entertainment and just sit back and enjoy.
I do. Mm-hmm. I do. Great. I do. I always treat her son like so nicely. We play catch in the waiting room while the parents are talking with the therapists. And so
I was thinking that you're utilizing, or she's using you as respite during OT is what I was thinking. She's figured out how to get an hour of respite for free, not billed.
That's a good point. Well, what usually happens is that the children are in with the therapist for an hour. And then many times the therapists will pull the parents aside and chat with them for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long. And so it's during that time that I become full babysitter. Yeah. But he's so excited to have attention. He's like, you're playing with me? Let's play. Let's, like we just, we play ball, we play tennis, we play all kinds of things that we shouldn't be playing in the waiting room of a doctor's office.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny. So I'm going to ask a question to each of you that I ask every guest, but I'm curious to hear your spin on it. And I'm going to start with Shannon. What do you think is the biggest modern mom problem out there right now?
I think it's just the mental load, the having to do 9 million things and having to have it all figured out. Like my daughter the other day, my oil light came on. Okay, what's your mileage? I don't know. I'm like, so now I have to track your mileage also and your oil changes also? Like, should I also do that for dad on top of everything else that I do? Right. So it's just that constant having to have everything together and know exactly what's going on at all times and the exhaustion that comes from that.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The cognitive labor is big. It's unsustainable. Now, and I talked about this on other episodes, not yet published, and maybe also in someone else's podcast, I mentioned this, is that I was a huge believer and pusher for this. And when I would mentor families or mentor moms or take them under my wing, I'm like, okay, let's talk about what your self-care plan is going to be. And you need to establish rescue plans, and then you need to establish endurance plans. And that was all sustainable enough for me to manage while I was still married. And now that I'm getting divorced, that is not, there's the infrastructure out there. There's nothing. Doing those plans are not sustainable for me right now. They're just not. And I think, and I've seen it on other platforms where there's people my other, educators who are moms and are talking about this just in general from like a nationwide perspective, is that societally, what we have, we can't, we can manage it for a time being, but again, there's no long-term sustainability because societally, we have to deal with infrastructure issues to better support that. I mean, really, truly. So we're constantly in this cycle of violence per se, of like, we're breaking down and building back up to break down again because more just keeps getting added to our plate. I just don't see, the solution is looking at infrastructure things that we need to do at large, I think. And that takes time. So yeah, that's my answer.
That's a good answer. Very valid answer. Brittney, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah. I guess I'll piggyback on both of those a little bit. For me, it is the constant, not redirection, but like corrections. Like when you're steering, what's the word I'm looking for? And you're trying to like keep yourself in the middle of the lane.
Assist?
The lane assist.
I don't have lane assist, Shannon.
I just got it, and it's sort of annoying, actually.
Yeah. But you're course correcting. You're constantly course correcting. That's the word I'm looking for. It's early, guys. Sorry. But yeah, that is multiplied by 4 for me, right? With my children. And they all have different levels and different needs. Even this goes across the board for neurotypical families and neurotypical kids as well. They still need course corrections and help from me. And then on top of that, I'm trying to, balance my own life and try to, get what I need out of, self-care and exercise and eating right and all those things. And it's just a lot to juggle. It's a lot of hats. It's a lot of, balls in the air, whatever analogy you want to make. And it's really, really important to have people in your life who can take maybe a look back. They can see you from a little bit of a distance and say, maybe that plate over there isn't quite so important. Let's maybe set that one aside for a little bit. Shannon's making faces at me because she's probably done this to me recently. So yeah, like those kinds of things, it's really, really hard. And I think we all struggle with that regardless of our family situation, right? So I don't know, just I'm in it with you, everybody. I get it. It's hard.
This is why you don't allow yourself to become outnumbered, Brittney.
It's too late. I can't give them back.
And we wouldn't if we could.
No. I love them all.
All right, Tash, I'm going to go with you on this one.
Okay. I'm just going to say all of what the girl said, but also to just this day and age, we are in such a social world where at our fingertips, it's constant viewing of everybody's life. And we are under the illusion that we have to be everything and we have to be perfect at that everything. Mm-hmm. Being a mom, being maybe it's a business owner, an advocate, a legislation person, a stay-at-home mom, or all of those things mixed together. And it doesn't allow us just to be truly vulnerable, So I think that's kind of, I don't want to say just my struggle, but kind of a bigger struggle.
Yeah, I think we all struggle with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's definitely a larger picture thing. It's not just you. You are not alone. Every one of your answers is something that we keep hearing over and over again. And that's why I ask the question every episode, because I'm curious to see, where everyone's coming from. And there are definitely themes that are recurring week after week.
Right. That's one of my animals.
Your cat is purring very loud, Jean.
That would not be the kitty cat. That would be a dog.
It's a dog. Oh.
Yeah. She's usually quiet. You don't hear her, but she's apparently having a dream.
Oh. That's really cute, though. I locked my cats out of this room right before we started recording because they would be wreaking havoc.
She somehow got in, and then I couldn't escape, and we started. And I was like, we're just going to roll.
Chaos monsters.
Just roll with it. That's what it is. Chaos monsters. Agents of chaos. That's what we say. Ladies, where can we find you and where can we listen to your show? Where can we learn more about you? I just want to compliment you on how gorgeous your new website is, by the way. Stunning. Where can people find it?
Okay, I'll go. We're all looking at each other. I'll go. momstalkautism.com on the interweb. And then we are at Moms Talk Autism on Instagram. And that's where we do the majority, of our connecting. You can email us at hello@momstalkautism.com. And the podcast is everywhere. We're on all the players. So come and find us.
Yeah, everyone needs to listen to this show, whether you have neurospicy children or neurotypical children, or people who do. Listen to the show.
Everyone knows somebody who's, has neurodiversity in their family. Everyone does.
It's true.
Absolutely. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having us, Tara.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Modern Mom Probs. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive in today's problem with me, your host, Tara Clark. Join me next time when I'll be interviewing another great guest and tackling another modern mom problem. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and a rating. As always, you could head over to Modern Mom Probs on Instagram and give me a follow, or check out my book, Modern Mom Probs, A Survival Guide for 21st Century Mothers, available online wherever books are sold. Well, that's it for today. See you next time, folks.